Okay, so today we're going to be talking about inequalities one step if we are multiplying or dividing. Okay, review from what we did with adding and subtracting. If it is the less than or greater than symbol, it's going to be an open circle. If it is a greater than or equal to or a less than or equal to, it's going to be a closed circle. Something new for today, and this is going to be key. If you multiply or divide by a negative, the inequality symbol changes directions. Say that again. If you multiply or divide by a negative, the inequality symbol changes directions. Okay? And that's what's going to be the thing that catches us, is when do we switch it and when do we leave it the way it is. All right, so here we go. They say solve end graph. So for the first problem, negative 42 is greater than or equal to 6r. Well, I want r, not 6r, so what do? I divide. What is on the bottom of my fraction? Positive 6. So it does not get affected by this rule. So that means we're going to bring it down the same. 6 divided by 6 is going to leave me with my variable. And now negative 42 divided by 6, I'm going to put that in my calculator. And I'm going to get negative 7. Now just like we did yesterday, we're going to sketch a little number line. At least 3 values. Oh, we got negatives. Let's see who remembers. Where is the 0? He's way over here. So that means this is negative 6 and this is negative 8. What kind of circle are we going to have? It's got a line underneath, so it is a closed circle. So we're going to color them in. And now we're going to read this to ourselves. Negative 7 is greater than or equal to blank. Which one of these numbers can we put in there that makes sense? Negative 7 is greater than negative 8, or negative 7 is greater than or equal to negative 6. Remembering, when you're in the negatives, the bigger the number is, or the farther away from 0 it is, the smaller it is. So you're going to point towards the negative 8. Okay, problem 2. Negative 12h is less than 15. Well, we don't want negative 12h, we want h. So we're going to divide by whatever's with it. Now in this case, you can see we're putting on the bottom, we're dividing by negative 12. So that means that's going to be this new thing that we just talked about. We're going to get h, but because we divided by a negative, our symbol is going to switch directions. Okay? And then we are going to put this in the calculator. And we're going to get negative 1.25. And then we need to do a little sketch. So again, just like we talked about before, you want to put your number in the center. And then you can go that route. Remember, we talked about that the other day, or we said you can put this in the center, and then this one would be negative 1, and this one would be negative 2. Either way, you're going to have an open circle, and we have to figure out h is less than this number. So which one of these sides is smaller than 1.25? Remembering you're in the negatives, so hopefully you're pointing that way. All right, the next ones, we've got some fractions, but that's okay because remember our calculators do the heavy lifting for us. We don't want 3/8 x, we just want x. So a lot of you are just dividing by whatever's with the x, and that's fine. So you're going to ask yourself, is this a positive number? Yes, so then we just keep going the way we normally would. Bring down our symbol. We're going to put that in our calculator. Remember, if you don't remember how to do that, it's alpha y equals 1, because we want a normal fraction. We're going to put 5 in there. We're going to arrow down and do alpha y equals again and another one because we need a fraction on the bottom. And then we're going to hit enter. And it's going to tell us it's 40 over 3, which doesn't really help us a whole lot. So that means we need to turn it into a decimal. So if you remember how to do that, alpha y equals, you want to go fraction to decimal, so you're going to hit 4 and hit enter. And it's going to tell us it's 13.3 repeating. Okay, so that means we're going to make a little sketch of a graph. (13.3) repeating. What would be before it? 13. What would be after it? 14. Open circle. X is less than 13.3. Well, which one of these numbers is smaller? 13. I did that backwards, guys. Sorry. This is 13. This is 14. And it goes this way. So make sure you're putting your number line correctly. Again, 100 apologies. We got used to doing the negatives. And we're all human. Okay, last one of these to look at. Now, the n is on the top, and there's no number with it, so a couple things we need to remember. What number's hiding in the numerator with that n? Well, we've got a -1. So that means to get rid of this, we're going to divide by -1/6. We're dividing by a negative, so that means we're going up to this rule. So that means our symbol is going to switch directions. We're going to get our n, which is what we want. And now we're going to do 8 divided by -1/6. Take a minute to put that in your calculator. So we're going to alpha y equals 1 and put in 8. Then arrow down and do alpha y equals again and put another 1 to get the small one. And you're going to put -1, arrow down to the 6, and hit enter. And you're going to get -48. Okay, at this point, we need to make a little number line graph. -48, remembering that 0's way over there. Okay, so what number would be here? -47. Over here would be -49. What type of circle are we going to have? Well, it's got the line underneath, so it should have a closed circle. And it says -48 is less than n. So you're going to point towards a number that makes that true. -48 is less than -49. Or -48 is less than -47, remembering we're in the negatives. So we're going to point that way. Okay. At the bottom of the page, I want you to try something. I want you to look at Taro and Jamie's work. They are both trying to solve the equation 6d is greater than or equal to -84. I want you to take a minute to look at those and see who is correct, if anyone. See if you can identify where the mistakes are. Pause this, try it, and then unpause it when you're ready. Okay, hopefully you noticed that one of them is correct and one of them is not. So they both start off with the equation. They both divide by 6, but then something happens. One person keeps the sign the way it is, and one person changes it. What should we have done? Well, hopefully you said that Taro is correct. We only change the sign if we multiply or divide by a negative. So that means this 6 would have had to have been negative for the problem to change. So please be careful with this rule. Okay. We're going to turn the page to page 6. And now we're going to take a minute to pause and complete some of these. Okay. I want you to try to write these out and match up which ones do you think will go with this. You may need to go back and look at the first day where we had the symbols with the words. Remember, I told you need to memorize that. So maybe you need to go back and look at that as you're doing it. So you're gonna wanna pause it and see what you come up with. When you're ready, unpause it and we'll look at these. Okay, so 3 times a number is at most 9. So at most, first thing you need to do is go through and find your symbols. Okay, 1/3 of a number is no more than, so no more than. -3 times a number is more than. 3 times a number is less than. -3 times a number is at least 9. And 1/3 of a number is greater than or equal to. So now that we have the symbols, we can start matching them up. The only ones that said negative, maybe we want to get those out of the way first. Okay? So just by matching up the symbols, you can see that this one is E, and this one is C. Okay? Now, keep going. We want to talk about 1/3. Okay? Match up your symbols. Here's this one, so that's going to be F. And here's this one, that's going to be B. And then again, we're going to match up the symbols that are left with the other ones. So please make sure when you're doing these that you are being careful. Okay, what I'd like you to do now for 7 through 22, all I want you to do for these problems is I want you to go through and put a star next to the problems where you would switch the inequality symbol. So which one of those problems for 7 through 22 uses the new rule? I want you to pause it and take a minute and do that, and then come back on and we're gonna go through and see how many stars you have right. Okay, so let's see. When you did this, I asked you to put a star next to the ones that you would have to switch the sign. Positive, 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 negative. This would be a switch the sign. Negative, switch the sign. Positive, positive, oh, negative, switch the sign. Negative, oops, sorry. Switch the sign. Positive, negative with the variable, switch the sign. Positive, negative, 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 positive. So that is the thing that you're supposed to be looking for today. When do you switch the sign? Okay, go back and check your assignment so you can find out what you're doing for homework tonight. Thanks.